Hello and welcome back to another video on the F1 Journal, and today we are looking at sprint qualifying. I gave my thoughts after the first sprint qualifying, and now I'm going to give my thoughts after the second sprint qualifying. And yeah, I think it's fair to say I'm not too big a fan of the event. I just don't really feel like it adds much to a Grand Prix weekend. So yeah, I'll just go in detail about why I feel like that. So let's get straight into it. Starting off on the Friday and with qualifying, like normal qualifying, and yeah, I just feel like sprint qualifying just takes away all of the excitement of that qualifying. Normally, end of Q3, you're really excited, but yeah, end of this Q3, I wasn't really that hyped at all, and I normally am really hyped. Bottas taking a great pole, and yeah, I just kind of had really no emotions to it at all, which is very unusual for a pole. And yeah, I think the last laps of Q3 are probably one of the most exciting moments of the Grand Prix weekends. But yeah, that kind of just gets taken away. And then moving on to FP2 on Saturday morning, it's just a complete mess. What's the point of it? None of the times really matter. You can't read anything into it. The fans don't understand it. The commentators don't understand it. It just seems like a complete mess. And then, yeah, moving on to the sprint race itself, I just don't feel like it does much, to be honest. So obviously you've had the FP2 in the morning, that's enough to bring anyone to sleep. So then you've got the sprint race, you suddenly got to get yourself hyped for that. Maybe the qualifying on Saturday morning would work better, but obviously that will never happen because they'll want ticket sales on all 3 days and whatever. But moving on to the sprint race finally, I just don't think it adds anything really. You've got the excitement of the start, which is great, and obviously last race, Hamilton losing loads of places, always set Ricciardo up to fill the win, which is brilliant. But then after that, I think you had like one overtake in the top 10, Perez passing Stroll or something like that, and that's literally all we got. I think it's pretty obvious to see in both Grand Prix that the first stint is the most boring part of the race. So to me, it just makes literally no sense as to why you would just want to do that twice. Because, yeah, very rarely you get any overtaking action. And with the third sprint race supposedly coming out in Sao Paulo, I was just looking back at the 2019 Grand Prix, and the only overtakes we got in the first stint was Charles Leclerc moving from 14th to 6th. So, obviously, you had an engine penalty or something like that. I can't quite remember. But, yeah, all it was. So, if everyone's in position, then I'm just expecting another procession, to be honest, and I don't really see how it adds to the show. Ross Brawn said it was great entertainment, and to be honest, he said he'd be honest in say if it didn't work, it didn't work, and he'd admit it. But yeah, it seems like he's called a lie on that, because I think it's clear to anyone with eyes it didn't work. And the Brazil, if 2019 race was anything to go by, it's probably going to be another bore fest, and really that's not what we want at all. And it's disappointing that it's got to this stage, and with it seemingly staying for 2022, I just hope they make some changes, but they really don't. I think Fernando Alonso said this after the qualifying, and he said, "Why do we always need to change anything?" And to be honest, I totally agree. We've tried it plenty of times before. Who remembers the dreaded elimination qualifying? That's all I need to say really. And in sprint qualifying as it is works perfectly fine at the moment. To be honest, it's probably one of the most exciting, if not the most exciting bits of the weekend. I just don't really see the need to change it, to be honest, and it's just weird how F1 constantly needs to change something. For me, the current format is working just fine really. Obviously sprint qualifying does have its benefits. Another start, sometimes you do get mixed up grids that leads to races like we saw with Monza, but on the whole I just don't feel like it adds much to the show and just takes away from that excitement of qualifying. But yeah, that's just my opinion. Anyway guys, that's it for the video. Thanks very much for watching. Remember to like, share, subscribe, leave your thoughts, comments down below. Follow me on Twitter, link in the description for daily F1 news, and subscribe to my channel on the screen right now, that'd be greatly appreciated. Thanks very much for watching, peace.